everyone, my name is Gabby, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super Review, this time reviewing episode 89. After recruiting 17, Goku goes to recruit the mutant Roshi. Arriving at Kame House, he finds out that he's gone to Tenshinhan's dojo. There, Tenshinhan is teaching people in a village the basics of Ki. A woman named Yurin asks to be taught as well, which leads to Roshi doing basically what you'd expect when a cute girl is in front of him. But it turns out Yurin is also adept at sorcery, and takes control of Tenshinhan's students to wreck the village. Goku, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, and Roshi arrive to stop them, and things go pretty well until Yurin manages to get control over Roshi too. He takes out Tenshinhan, although they manage to distract Yurin long enough to snap him out of her control. Yurin explains that she was trying to destroy Tenshinhan's reputation as revenge for him refusing to fight her back when they were at the crane school together. But realizing her resolve to get stronger, Tenshinhan allows her to train at his dojo. Tenshinhan agrees to join the tournament to use the prize money to help out the village, and hearing about the prize money, Roshi decides to join too. All 10 members have been recruited, and in Universe 6, Kaba is getting his team together. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, I did enjoy a lot of the stuff that they did with Tenshinhan. Well, honestly, the entire idea of having the incredibly kind of antisocial Tenshinhan being the only one out of these characters who actually starts up a whole dojo and actually has students is honestly something that I'm still finding a little bit strange. I do appreciate what they're trying to do because they're actually giving Tenshinhan something. I'd say basically from the moment he gets defeated by Goku in the 23rd Budokai, Tenshinhan basically has almost nothing to his character, nothing much added to him at all. He is that random guy who sits around and trains with Chaozu in the middle of nowhere, and then sometimes he shows up to fight and he does a Kikoho, and then sometimes the Kikoho will kill him and sometimes it won't. And that's kind of all he really has to him, especially in like the Dragon Ball Z era. So the fact that they were trying to actually give him something different and unique, something to kind of make him his own character, I do appreciate that. Anything that makes him more than just that martial artist guy is definitely appreciated. It makes him actually stand out a little bit more. Also, we normally get a lot of kind of throwbacks in this series, and sometimes I wonder if they get a bit excessive, but I did like the throwbacks they did in this episode. There's throwbacks to like techniques that were used very early on in Dragon Ball, like Roshi's lightning attack, which I cannot pronounce for the life of me because it's really long, and Tenshinhan's forearm technique. Like, these are cool. These are things that only showed up in the tournaments like once and never came up ever again. So it's nice to see them, even if it's just like completely kind of surface level acknowledgement, because it is acknowledging that Toei remembers things that happened before like 1990. So that's pretty cool. Also, in terms of the little subplot with Kaba's recruitment, I never thought I was going to say this, and it's been a long time coming, but now we can finally say it. And now I can say I really appreciate the fact that Caulifla is like her own separate character. She's not the female Broly. The female Broly is someone else. And well, that's just, the female Broly is something else altogether that we haven't really seen and it's kind of hard to talk about. I'm finding Caulifla on her own such a really interesting character. I mean, she's just some random punk who also wants to get stronger, but I mean, I'm just finding it really compelling because it's a female Saiyan. We have a female Saiyan who is fighting, who is not like some kind of distaff counterpart or some relation to some really important character. I mean, I don't really know what Caulifla is going to do or really that much about her character, but yeah, the fact that we have a female Saiyan now, a female Saiyan who is fighting, I'm really down for this. I'm so glad they actually did this. It's great. As for what I didn't like about this episode, well, first of all, no, I'm not really a fan of all the perverted humor with Muten Roshi in this episode. I feel like just saying that is going to lead to accusations from people that I'm some crazy SJW who's trying to put her personal politics into Dragon Ball. But so for the people who want to say that, I need to say, well, first of all, yes, I completely understand that perverted sexual humor is kind of a almost consistent part of Dragon Ball. That doesn't mean I am obligated to enjoy it. And second of all, this is my review. This heading is what I didn't like about this episode, not what is objectively bad about this episode. Sexual humor, if you like it, all power to you. I just don't really find it that fun or interesting, especially with Yurin here. She seemed especially vulnerable and a lot of things kept happening to her, like over and over again, and I just didn't really like it. Not to mention there was so much of it. It felt like we saw much more of like perverted old man Roshi than like wise old master Roshi. And you know, we're assuming that we're actually recruiting Roshi for the wise old master part of him, but we didn't really get to see much about that in the episode where he got recruited because they wanted to make a whole bunch of jokes about urine. So it just kind of felt like they were just resorting to gags instead of actually like exploring characters, and yeah, that felt a little bit disappointing. Not to mention, Urine was honestly such a weak villain. I'm not even talking about power-wise, I'm just saying like in general, her plans aren't really thought through very well, her entire motivation is kind of laughable, and it doesn't feel like she's really a legitimate threat at all. And you know, maybe that was intentional, maybe they just wanted to have a villain for once who didn't feel like they were actually like a legitimate threat, but on the other hand, that doesn't really help make the episode and its struggles that compelling. When you have this villain who's literally basically just acting like a teenage girl who's like completely over emotional, and like you kind of wonder why she even cares so much in the first place. So as for next episode, well, everyone is getting ready for the tournament, and in particular, Gohan wants to show Goku the fruits of his training. Once again, it's one of those episodes where I'm really excited and really kind of concerned at the same time. Because obviously I'm excited because, hey, look, it's another Gohan episode. We're going to have Goku and Gohan fighting. That'll be cool. Unfortunately, obviously, I'm also still a little bit concerned because the more we get to see of Gohan, the more likely it could be that they screw it up somehow. 88 was pretty good. Hopefully 90 will actually keep more of this kind of like actually exploring his character and not just doing the whole like Gohan is strong now, how cool is Gohan? That's all we're going to talk about. So I guess we'll see. I hope it's fun. I am actually really interested to see what it's going to be. So that was Dragon Ball Super episode 89. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. Didn't really like this episode. On the one hand, it did kind of feel like we had literally kind of just stepped back in time into like the late 1980s to like a random, almost like a filler episode of Dragon Ball. But on the other hand, it also made me remember why we don't really remember filler episodes of Dragon Ball that much. They're just not that memorable and not that compelling and kind of feel a little bit forgettable, and that was the same with this episode. It was fine, I guess, it was completely inoffensive, it was also forgettable, and the problem with that is it was also the episode that was responsible for like explaining how and who these characters that Goku are recruiting are, and why they're joining, and what their motivations are, and yeah. So the fact that it almost feels like that there's just so little of those characters in there that it just feels like you could just skip everything altogether, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. These characters in particular have always felt like they kind of gone the shortest end of the fan service stick, so I guess I wasn't really expecting much to change, but I was also expecting the episode to be maybe just a little tad more interesting than it actually was. But yeah, there are a few more episodes to go, and unfortunately it is also leading to this new kind of random criticism that is, when is the actual tournament going to start already? Because we've got some leaks and some synopses from some of the next few episodes, and ignoring this thing that just came out, which is like the worst idea ever that seems to be happening, we have a lot more episodes to go, and the tournament is nowhere in sight yet. Everyone makes jokes about the 5 minutes, and I wonder if like a few years from now we're going to make jokes about the 40 hours, which feel like they're going to be dragging on for an eternity. But at the very least, everyone, the characters that we know and we've seen in all the promotional material are actually recruited, so hopefully the next few episodes will be a little bit more interesting. They could also be less interesting, I don't know, but I am hoping, obviously, that is kind of the point. So this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!